Just in review from yesterday, I had some valves that were out of spec. If you'd like to see that video, please go back and take a look at that one on how it is to determine which valves are in spec or out of spec, how to take this all apart. This is the video that puts it all back together. Alright, first thing we're going to do here is put a little bit of lubricant on these. I like to use basically engine building lube. It's kind of a thicker lubricant. It helps them stay in too, because these things are pointing down, they're going to want to fall back out. So just take a little bit of this stuff, smear it on there. Kind of looks like red grease, but so kind of like an engine startup lube. Put some on. Make sure you put some on the down in the where it meets with the cam. Also some on the outside here where it meets with the other side. Not with the cam, but the valve. Sometimes I don't know how to talk. The thicker stuff actually helps it stick in there too, so it makes it a little sticky. So we'll just go through them one by one here. If you can do this yourself, it really does save you a boatload of money. I'm sure if any of you have ever taken your bike into the shop, into the BMW dealer especially, you know how BMW stands for, what is it, bring more wallet, or bring more wallets, or something like that. So everything with them is expensive. I mean, even one of these buckets is like $25 from the dealership. So that's why if you can find somebody that does this work also, they might have a few buckets laying around. It might be just the size you need. Alright, we'll go all in. Next thing we do now is the cam. So we got our camshaft here. As I mentioned before, this is the exhaust, and it's a good idea to put a little bit of the engine lube, the lube on the bearings, and also here on the cam lobes too. Every little bit helps. You put the cams in, you just want to put them in such a way that they're not going to directly push down on any specific valves. So just kind of set it into place, kind of roll it around in your fingers, so there's a way, like right now, it goes in without pushing down on any of the valves. You don't want the valves essentially fighting against you. So now we have our bearing caps. I'm just going to set those into place. Throw a nut on there, just finger tight for now, until we get the other ones in place, so I don't have to hold on to it all the time. Putting these caps back on in the exact way and that they came off. So I had them laid out on a towel out of the camera view here, but the numbers are down here right where they were before, and I'm just putting them back on in the order they came off. Now we're going to leave this one off for now until we get these tightened down. This one will go on last. Before, this was the first one to come off. Now it's going to be the last one to go back on. Because the reason being is because we got this little guide here. It's a little black guide, and that could actually turn a little bit inside of the groove that's set on here, and it could cause a little bit of damage, and that's not something I really care to have, and neither will you. Alright, as usual, I've lost my tools. So we're going to go through and tighten these up in a crisscross pattern, starting from the center. First, just hand tight, and just slowly work them down. And once we hit bottom, then we'll hit the torque wrench and bring them back to the torque value that they're supposed to be at here. Alright, we're getting there now. Feels like they're all pretty much bottomed out, almost. You could just do this stuff by hand. It's really not a whole lot of pressure on them. Alright. Now we set our torque wrench here. You can't really see it on there, but it's set to 10 Newton meters, or I think that's 88 inch-pounds. We're going to do the same thing here. Just go right through them. Just check them again. Now for the other cap. A little bit of stuff in here. This thing goes with this flat side pointing to the back of the bike. Okay. Now we just take one of these, one of the nuts here, and put it on this bottom side. Don't run it onto this one because this is where that black little guide goes. And we're not even going to tighten that one down right now. Just going to finger tight it. So now we have to line up the put the sprockets back on. They're still in place because our little zip ties here haven't moved. You can see there's a little hole. Never done this before. There's a little hole right here, an alignment pin, and these will have to line up with the front of the camshaft. Now there is a tool, a special tool that you could buy that will go back here. There's some notches built into the back side of the camshafts, and it's an alignment tool, so you basically line these things up so that they're both straight. Me, I'm not that rich to own those kind of fun tools, so I just do with what I have. And what I have is a big wrench. Start bringing this thing up to where it's in that approximate position. Yeah, there it goes. Alright, so the top one's on, so we just take our bolt now and just put it in there finger tight for now, just so it doesn't go anywhere. Feeling I'm not going to get this on. I probably should have put that on first. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're there. Okay. You got to put this thing on, so whether you put it on now or later, you got to get it on there. These can be torqued down now just so you don't forget. Of course, when I say we, I mean me. You need to torque these down. These take a lot of torque. It takes like 56 Newton meters, which is 41 foot-pounds. I'm just going to tighten them up a little bit more by hand. Because I know I'm not going to achieve the final torque value with this thing. But, so I don't have to go so far with the torque wrench. I got my my snap-on torque wrench here. Oldie but a goodie. It's even been calibrated. To 41 foot-pounds. Right there. There it is. All right. There it is. All right. Now we can go back and check these out, make sure that they're within spec. If they're not, then it's more delays. We got to go back to the store, but it should be. It should be fine. So it's time to put it all back together. Now, I like to reuse these gaskets because there's really no reason not to. So what you got to do here, though, is you got to clean them up really good. Clean up the gasket real good. And in these areas here, where these little half moon areas are, there's a little spots down here where you got to put a little bit of silicone down there. Which I'll go over once I get to that point, once I clean this up. It's time to put the cylinder head cover back on. So just go through and make sure all the oil's off of it that you can get off of it. Any of the compound that's still on there from the last time we did it is off. Doesn't have to be. I like to make it as clean as I can, but not like polished clean. I just don't want any big blobs on there. Just go around the whole thing, make sure it's all pretty good. We got the Permatex on there, the ultra black. So we feed our spark plug wires through the center here as we come in closer. And then put these little half moon clips in there first, because they kind of hold everything in place. Now the cover, I just like to wipe off the mating surface here. You don't put any silicone of any kind on the outside surface of this thing. Not out on the outside, because you don't want it to stick to this. So I'm going to bring this in. Just go finger tight for now. Alright, once you get these three in, just go back and just double check. Make sure you got those, nothing shifted on you here with those little half moon clips, or those half moon projections on the gasket. And then go ahead and put in the rest of them. And then we'll torque them down with 9 Newton meters here, hopefully. Alright, we go in a crisscross pattern here, just working our way out, all the way out of this thing, starting in the middle. It doesn't feel like much at all. Most of them are already there. I'm going to go ahead and put the spark plugs in, the new ones. There is what they are. Okay. NGK Iridiums 6046. And I just like to inspect them just to make sure there's no damage, but I don't re-gap them or anything. I just put them in. I'm going to torque the spark plugs down. They're going to be torqued to 20 Newton meters or 177 inch-pounds. Just double check. And that's that. So last but not least, we put on our spark plug wires. And remember, they're 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just find the number and put them on there. I use the needle nose pliers to grab onto that little tab that's on the back of them, and just give them a firm jam in there. A lot of times when if you're having a problem with your bike, like if it's if it starts stuttering, if it's not running right, it's running bad at idle, it's one of the first things you check. Just pull this little inspection cover off, and while the bike is at nighttime or in a dark room or whatever in the garage, run it, and you'll see sparks in here jumping from the wires, and that's just a quick indication that you need new wires. So that's about it. So we're going to put the cover back on. They get torqued down to 9 as usual, and then I'm going to start this thing up and make sure everything operates correctly. So that pretty much concludes this one. If you have any questions, you can email me. Also, if you do feel like you'd like to donate to our club, just find the donate button here on the site and do so. And I thank you for watching.